I, Upamanyu Kar, am a music composer and an educator, and I'm here to give you a webinar on understanding, arranging, composing. Let's start with the slides. I will share my screen. I hope everyone can see. What I will teach in this webinar is basically an appreciation on music composition and arrangement. It is not very technical and it is meant for beginners. Okay. Now, let me, as you can see the screen, the contents: music, science on art or a language. Next chapter, the basic concepts of music composition and arrangement. Then arranging and already composed music in different settings, that is cultural exchanges. And next, the types, the variety and diversity of all the musical languages in the world. Then different musical norms in the society. And then the primary difference between, as you can see, you can see the screen, the primary difference between the Oriental and European musical languages. Okay. Then the next thing is importance of technique in music composition and arrangement and its application. This is from a general perspective. Then to follow the norms or not to follow the norms while composing music. So molding your creativity. Then the topic is application of music composition and arrangement in today's world, practical ways of thinking. And the last topic is the successful outcome of being a composer and an arranger, that is contribution to the society. So let's start the webinar, understanding music arrangement and composition. My first topic, music, science and art or a language. I will take a seemingly very weird example, that is the example of God or nature. Guys, say if we take the question that music, whether it's a science, an art or a language, I must say that this is basically a whole. So I was saying the God, say the example of a God, or saying that nature has a whole. Now my question is, since my question is music, whether it's science or an art or a language, firstly, you say, what does science do? Science provides logic and reasoning. Art provides aesthetics and emotional fulfillment. And language provides communication. So what I would rather say, when I join all three of the things, this together, all three elements together, that is the logical reasoning and emotional fulfillment, that's art, and a language through which we are communicating or through which communication is made. And when I'm putting the whole together in oral form, that is called music. Okay, so let's go to the next topic, the basic concepts of music composition and arrangement. Once I was told to explain the approach of composition to children who do not understand technicalities. So what I did, I told them that, do you hear stories? They all said yes. And I asked them, what is a story? What is there in a story? They said in the story there are narrations, there are characters and incidents and a whole lot of things that is happening. So I told them that music composition or music arrangement is basically a story told through musical sounds. Now, we all know that music has three essential elements, that is, rhythm, melody, and harmony, right? When I analyze a piece of music, I would rather say that a musical piece or a composition is constructed of three essential elements: rhythm, melody, and harmony, joined together and prepared to be told by a performer or several performers, that is, instruments or voices. Now, the difference between a composition and arrangement is pretty simple. Composition is your own story that you are telling. When you are composing music, you are telling your own story, and that is basically composition. Musical arrangement, what I would say, is basically is telling an already written story in your own unique voice. Always remember that composing music is basically like writing a story in musical form, in using musical sounds. Okay, so this is the basic concept of music composition and arrangement. One wise person used to tell me that all pieces of music have their own stories. We are all storytellers together, and whenever we compose music or even perform it, either we are writing our stories or we are reciting, like reciting poems, we are reciting an already written story through our own instrument or voices. Okay, so let's get to the next topic. See, the importance of arranging and already composed music in different settings, cultural exchanges. I would like to recall a very famous poet named Rudyard Kipling on this context. Everyone has read of, we all have read in our childhood the poem of Ballad and East and West. Oh, east is east, and west in west, and never the twain shall meet, till earth and sky stand presently at God's great judgment seat. How beautiful this is! How beautiful is this that all there's so rich cultures have all over the world, and what a fantastic idea it would be if I bring the culture of the cultural taste of European art music to Orientalism and vice versa. Everyone. So what happens? There will be no definite difference between East and West. And actually, there isn't any East and West, and they're basically they're all the let the world be one. I'm not saying that there will be not be variety. There will still be variety, but we will get the taste of, oh, how beautiful this Western harmony is. Or the European people, they will say how beautiful the Oriental melodic nuances is. Anyway, let's take that in the details. The cultural exchange is a very important thing that is used to enrich musical literature across the world. No one would deny that, I think. So, what what is the role of music arrangement in cultural exchange? I as a music arranger, can do two things. Either I can bring the Oriental flavors to European musical literature, or I can do the vice versa. Because you see, all artists and audience as well, in general people, the fulfillment of mind comes from a basic need of exploration. We all want to explore. We have the desire to explore the world around us. Diversity and enrichment and development across different cultures they improve in such case. So, what can I do as an arranger to improve cultural exchange? I can arrange, or any, let alone me, not only me, let alone any music arranger, they can arrange, say, for example, an Indian melody, Rabindra Sangita Tagore's song, or a Hindustani classical melody or Hindustani classical composition into Western symphonic pattern. Say, for example, in an orchestral presentation, the thing I'm doing for a long time, and maybe the reverse. Say, for example, I would portray a few musical examples here. Uh, we all know about the Shillong Chamber Choir. Shillong Chamber Choir is very famous for doing a very noble thing. You have all heard Gedua, I think. Gedua is a Hindi movie song, but if you can you go on YouTube and check it out, you will find it has been performed by a symphony orchestra along with Thais meditation as an interlude by Jules Massenet and performed by beautiful choral and orchestral presentation. How beautiful it appears when a Hindi song, an Indian melody, is performed by such a symphonic grandeur celebration. The second example, I won't like to brag about myself, but what I'm doing for a long period of time, I have been fortunate to work with numerous strings, very internationally famous album, and which has also got an award for innovation anyway, let alone that. And the second album I did, Nabarupe Rabindranath. What I'm doing is for the long time, I'm arranging a Tagore song into symphonic pattern. So the next example is that 12 Girls of Christmas is an album by the Chinese traditional group 12 Girls Band. You can go on YouTube and see. There's a Chinese traditional group named 12 Girls Band. They use all Chinese traditional instruments. Let me tell you that all Oriental cultures, be it India or China or Japan or even Africa, apart from Orientalism, Africa, they have their own primitive musical culture from a very historic period of time. They have their own instruments, own instrumental settings, own styles of music. So what this band is doing, 12 Girls Band, they are consistently they're performing many kind of music, their own and European music in their own instrumental setting, the Chinese instrumental setting. And they're putting the Oriental flavors to even Christmas carols. That is basically European tunes, European compositions like Silent Night. Then you tell me Joy to the World, and that is amazingly beautiful and unimaginable, unbelievable. That gives goosebumps to me at least. So these are of the culture of the examples of already composed music being arranged in different settings of different cultures. This is how cultural exchange is possible and is being done to a great extent in through musical arrangements. My next topic is the types, variety, and diversity of different musical languages and compositions around the world. I would like to recall Sir Isaac Newton's quote on this aspect. Once a person told him that he's being very famous. So what Sir Isaac Newton replying, he laughed and said, I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore. He said that his field is like an ocean and he's just playing on the seashore and collecting some pebbles and trying to find a better pebble than what he have found. This is what all we are doing. All composers, arrangers, musicians. I, as a music educator, I always learn bit by bit from taking each class. After taking each class, I learn just one thing because teaching is also a way of learning. And my field is the harmony, Western music is it's really like an ocean. I know nothing about it literally. Maybe the 1% of it. So let's see. Let's explore what types are there around the world. Primarily, what we know that all historical traditions and civilizations across the world have their own musical languages. And let me specify which of the traditions and civilizations I'm talking about. Firstly, we all know from history that India, China, Africa, these countries have a long history of civilization and culture. I will not be surprised that if any more are found in the in the coming days. That I mean, even in African music, we know very little. If many subdivisions may be found, so let's check. Let's see what their thumbprints are. What are their thumbprints so that they are identified by their uniqueness and originality. The musical language of the European tradition. In Europe, what we know as Western classical music is basically the language of the traditional language of Europe, the traditional musical language of Europe. This language have primarily one very important thing that is called harmony. Harmony is an essential component of European art music because without the concept of harmony, European art music cannot be there. It is the most fundamental and most important concept. It is like a spine of the language of European art music. It is the originality that European art music holds. Now let's come to Indian Far East, the soul of Orientalism, the beauty of Orientalism. Have you ever heard of Inca? Inca is a genre of traditional Japanese music. I personally uh, didn't know about Inca long before. I started exploring the things just a few years back, and I found the thing called Inca. Inca is a very beautiful language. Inca is Japanese traditional music, and I found personally a very similar approach with Indian classical tunes. Both, even in Chinese traditional music, if you hear, you will notice that the melodic nuance in Hindustani classical music and all these Chinese, Japanese traditional music, melodic nuances are very important. They are basically the soul of Orientalism. As we all know that in India, the concept of soul is very important, which is called Atma in Sanskrit, Atma. And they believe that music too has Atma. Feel is very important. So even apart from rhythm or anything else, they concentrate on the melodic nuances, the melodic details, the meers and all in Hindustani music that are not present in European art music. European art music has a very straightforward approach to a melody, but in Indian music and all Japanese traditional songs, Inca and also Chinese traditional music, I have found the same thing. That they concentrate on the melody, the story, the narration is the basic narration that is being told. While Europe concentrates on the variety and variation and the total connection between all the elements, that is harmony, the putting the things together, because European tradition believes that diversity is the key. But Orientalism is very important and well known for its melodic nuances. Now, the third one, the traditional musical language of Africa. Rhythm. If I just explore all the rhythmic possibilities in everywhere, in all the everywhere in the musical cultures, I will find the African traditional language as the richest in the varieties and diversity of rhythm. Rhythm is their soul. You can find thousands of detailed, I mean, not literally, but many thousands, many rhythmic instruments like different kinds of drums and beat, percussion instruments, rhythmic instruments that Africans use in their music, and basically they celebrate their life in beats. This is the soul of Africa, rhythm. Now, what are the common elements of all these languages? I mean, because I am Upamanyu Kar, my fingerprint cannot be the same as anyone else. I will have my own originality in speaking and own uniqueness in my voice. And you, all the musicians and music students and music teachers, will have their own different voices. What are the reason of our originality? Obviously, our fingerprints development. I mean, depends on our bodily factors. That the same thing is that the influences of society are the prime reason of the fingerprints, or the main identity determining factors in all these languages. That is a common thing. If I introspect, I will find that India has a long history, and in all Oriental countries, and of this kingdom, the thing of kingdom, because democracy came to India after a very long time. These factors are very essential when it comes to the properties, like which is the most important, and which is the prime reason. You see, what is the originality of styles. I think that is the most important factor, melodic nuances, to be the prime factor in music. Okay, everyone was saying this kind of thing. Anyway, and harmony in Europe, I think for a long time, harmony means basically working together. All practical aspects get reflected in music, because music is not apart from, I'm not, outside society, right? So the influence of society and societal thinking is the prime factor for these factors being considered in all the languages. Okay, so next topic, different musical norms prevalent in different cultural environments. So if music is a part of the society, the musicians also are. This is quite evident, quite obvious. Because I will live in the society, I will compose music for the society, and so I have to get influenced by the society, which is quite obvious. So, the first point, society, as we all know, as a guide and authority. We all have to obey, and not obey, but we have to conform to the norms of the society up to a certain extent, if we want to stay. So, yeah, but any art form, including music, should also conform to the social, economic, political, and environmental context in order to survive. This is absolutely essential for any music to be heard by people. Why? The thing is very simple. Say, for example, say in a country or in a nation where there are which is not very economically strong. So, or you see, like African country like Somalia, which is struggling. So it is quite obvious that if I stay in Somalia, if you stay in Somalia, and if you compose music for orchestra, that will, and you think that you will be able to survive there and make music for orchestra, that will not be popular. I think so, at least, because firstly you will not be able to make it performed. People don't have enough time to go to a concert hall and listen to this kind of things are leisure there. Okay, so this is very important, that when I'm, and also I have to relate. I, as a composer, if I compose a music, my audiences and I also have to relate with the thing I'm telling. I'm staying in India, so when I'm composing music, obviously there I can compose Western art music. But if I do not, if the audience cannot relate with the music at all, who are living in India, then what's the point? the music will not be, because I'm composing music for the, for the audience only. So if the audience does not, cannot relate, they will not take my music, they will not take my composition. So these are the practical things that any form of art, including music, should conform to the all the context, the environmental, social, political, and economic context in order to survive. Okay. The next thing is changes and developments in accordance with time is inevitable. That is quite obvious. Even we have seen, say, the decline of church. If we go back to historic times, the decline of church in Europe, when people started revolting revolting against church. So before that there was a lot of secular music being composed, but after that, after Renaissance, people started questioning church, and we can not find secular music mostly. We can only find mostly we can find non-secular music. That is basically music for music not dedicated to God or dedicated to something, not for worshipping purpose, for listening purpose. Now a very important thing: technology as an innovator in the global musical scenario. Many people tell me that you see that technology does harm to musicians when we have lots of things we our our own music composing skills get destroyed. So I tell them the answer is very simple. The debate is like that: is technology doing good or doing bad to the global musical scenario? See, everything. If they have a good aspect, they will have a bad aspect also. I know, and I agree that in Beethoven's times or in Bach's times, there were no technology, no computer, no Sibelius, no DAWs, no workstations, and no electronic things. Beethoven had the year of, so that Beethoven didn't have the infrastructure. He could, compose an entire concerto with his mind only. And since we have all the equipments, our effort and our brain is not being developed. But I would suggest one thing: that can I evade the thing called changes of development in accordance with time? I cannot. So let's embrace the good things that is let's embrace the good things that technology gives us in musical field. There are so many opportunities coming up in these days, in this lockdown. We are seeing in this lockdown that whether technology is doing good or technology is doing bad. Even before this lockdown, we were dependent on offline classes, offline music classes. Music teaching has become so easy that I can you can reach the whole world. The world can be won in just because of technology. Whatever I am telling might be heard from America. Whatever an American professor is telling, I can hear. So the spread of learning and the spread of global musical exchange is really, I would say, is really for good, that technology is bringing for us. So I would like to embrace the changes that technology is giving, and I would accept, and if needed, then I would adapt with the coming world, and I would use the technology in my benefit. This is what all composers have done: adaptation, whose music has still survived. Darwin's theory of um, thing, because as Darwin said, that in order to survive, you have to be the survival of the fittest. This kind of theory. This is the same thing. Okay. Next thing. Chapter 6. The primary difference between Oriental and European traditional musical languages and the influence of the society. There are obviously a lot differences, and that is not at all, that is not really, one would say that it is not desirable, but I would say it is. because if all will be the same, then there will be no diversity, no variation whatsoever. Okay, let's see what they are. Oriental and European traditional musical languages, they both have their own, both, as I said, their originality. So European traditional musical languages have harmony as a main important thing, important defining factor, while Orientalism have the melodic nuances, what I have told. So let's see and introspect what are the reasons for this. Music is basically a reflection of a collective thought process. We cannot, we cannot deny that, right? Because a collectively, what people are thinking. I'm an artist, and my job is to create art and raise my voice for the people, and basically this is for the benefit, not for the people only, for the benefit of the society. Because I'm an artist, and artist's job is to look after the development. An artist have a lot of responsibility, because an artist is responsible for the overall development of a society. This comes as a responsibility of a creative artist, being a composer or arranger or whatever, and a music creator. Now, the focus in identity. Obviously, different mindsets produce different tastes in music. If I introspect and if I analyze our minds, if I have an Oriental mindset, and basically what all we are in Indian society and European society have a huge difference in thinking. I'm not judging. I'm not being judgmental. Let me say that. And I will not judge either. My job is not to judge. My job is just to take the differences, compare it, and appreciate the beauties of, appreciate the diversity of all this mindset, because enrichment comes from diversity, nothing else. So, in India, mostly what people appreciate, I mean, in general, people appreciate of a single, as I said, because single melody, because in Indian history, we have seen that it's a long history of not democracy, but basically, I won't say autocracy, but still the thing was that there was kings and emperors, and a long history of, because these factors produce, these factors determine our mindset, and the society. This factor decide what is, I would say, the society, the mindset, the collective thought process by which we are still being influenced. Okay, in Europe, there are a lot. If I go to European history, of course, is autocracy kind of thing was Europe also, but in Europe they were more believing in doing things together. The both the things, it is quite obvious that they will have the same. They will they will produce different tastes. I, as a composer, have seen that Indian audience, my compositions and my arrangements, which I do in totally European style, rich in harmony and all these things, but I arrange music the Indian melodies only. I have got more appreciation from European people than people who are accustomed with listening to Indian commercial songs. That is quite obvious, because from the very beginning of our childhood, our tastes develop by what we hear, not only music but our societies and our circles, and with the people, everything, these kind of things, the tastes we develop. Okay, so this is a very interesting and important thing which contributes to enrichment and diversity, and it is needed. Okay, so I would say melodic nuances and harmonic diversity, they basically, this point, melodic nuance and harmonic diversity, and the next point, the significance of traditional art music, they both are joined together. You know why? In India, in Orientalism also, art music means I am getting to aesthetically perfect, to please my ears, that whenever an audience will hear my music, they will say, wow, how beautiful this is. This This is the common goal. This is the same goal that Indian music, Japanese traditional music, Chinese traditional music, Japanese enka composers, Chinese traditional composers, or Indian composer and European art music composer, they're running towards the same goal. That is basically the definition of art music, that aesthetic perfection. When a person hears my music, he will say, oh, it is so fulfilling, it's so beautiful, it's amazing. This is the goal of a composer. They're the same thing, but these are using different paths, because paths are defined by the people itself, what people appreciate, what people understand, what people can relate to. So this is what the path is all about. Okay, so these are the different things, and this creates the beauty of art music. Basically, all are running towards the same goal, but we are using different paths. Okay, in that way, there is no difference. I say that there's no difference between Indian art music or European art music or Chinese traditional music or Japanese traditional music. There are no difference of any not the form but the nature of any art music in the world. Now let's get back to the next topic. Importance of technique in music composition and arrangement. We have all read about the see, we have all read Beethoven's quote, art begins where technical perfection ends. This is a quote by Beethoven. Let me go fast. Yes, and this is a quote which is very significant. Technique is basically a primary element in learning music, that we all know. Now, that as a means of achieving technical perfection is basically to train our mind. If we can train our mind, learn how to train our mind, we will be technically perfect. And we have to master the technique, which will require time, dedication, hard work. And this is absolutely essential while mastering technique. Practice, practice, and practice. Okay. And the refinement, what after we realize that yes, this is not good, I can achieve a better solution than this. After we realize it, then I can only refine, otherwise we cannot. Now what I would say, the competition, it should be with our own past self, because I would have to aim that from my previous self, which I were yesterday, I am being better composer today. In that way, if you take time and effort, if you wait and do hard work, you will definitely achieve technique. Next point, to follow the norms or not to follow, molding creativity while maintaining uniqueness. Okay, constraints are obviously a very essential thing in our lives, and when we follow norms, when living in a society, and when I'm composing music, I have to follow the norms, because that's quite obvious. Rules are something which is essential to music but conditional. That is basic. When a learner is learning, it is the rules. Composition rules are basic for useful for foundation only, useful for the basic level, that is foundation. After you learn the rules, you can spread your wings and do things on your own. This is the difference between the foundation and the doors and windows of a house. The foundation is the same. When an architect creates a plan for the house, all architects create foundation, that is obvious. After that, the other architects, they will design doors and windows to their own choice. Music is like that. A composer is like an architect of music. This is how you can maintain uniqueness while molding your creativity to follow the norms. Next topic, application of composition and arrangement in today's world, practical ways of thinking. In this chapter, I would like to recall someone, and not only someone, many people ask me the one question. Can you, being a composer, survive in today's world? I answered them yes. Mostly, people do not, they cannot think that, this is the age, this is not the age of Beethoven, that I will write a symphony, I will compose a music, and people will play on stage, and people will or listen to me, and I will survive like that. I will not earn money. This is not how it works because days have changed. This is not the traditional music period. This is the present times. The things have changed. So once we adapt to the change, say visual media is very important. That is in the music production and the industry based attitude. If you have the attitude that I will have to create commercial music, if I can create art music, that is fine. But you can incorporate art music in music production and film scoring, background scoring, where Western classical and art music, any form of art is very important. If you have this attitude, your attitude is everything. You will be able to earn money and be a professional composer. And music publishing is still amateurish option. It's a subsidiary option. This is not a very important one. And if you compose and concert music, that is also I do. That doesn't bring you money, but that is very beneficial for self promotion. That is, you can be able to achieve fame, but not money, which is also needed for surviving in today's world. So these are practical ways of thinking of being a composer, writing music, and writing arrangements and surviving, and earning your livelihood. The last topic, the successful outcome of being a composer, contributions to the society. Everyone, we can recall with the J.K. Rowling's quote in Harry Potter, the Goblet of Fire, we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. Every artist have to find a purpose in their lives. If I want to be a composer, I have to do the same. And fulfillment of mind, it comes from inner happiness only. That once I have become a composer, I have contributed something to the society. My life, the purpose of my life is fulfilled. This is what I can tell myself when because I'm contributing something to the society. I can walk towards the growth which the contribution I can lead to the enrichment through my musical contribution, which leads to growth and development of the society. This is what we can all do. We can only try. We can do very little. We can only try, but the effort is that all. If of all we can do, but if we put the effort in a truthful manner, this is how the positive outcome we can expect the world to be a beautiful place. As we all know, that the power of a pen is much better and much more than the power of a sword. Yes, artists can conquer the world with appreciation, beauty, aesthetics, happiness, but a person who spreads fear cannot.